personal experiences to start, and then what we've kind of gandered from those experiences.
Gandered?
What we've kind of gathered from those experiences.
It's already been a long day.
Hey au pairs, I'm Edwina.
I'm Hannah. Today we're talking about whether you can really teach your host kid English or whether the whole au pair scheme is a sham. My first au pair experience ever was with a family who spoke fluent English.
At that point you were there to maintain.
Which wasn't hard at all because they were very easy to converse with because they were genuinely fluent.
Did they learn their English from their au pairs previous?
No, they'd learned their English growing up from their parents and also from all of their English speaking au pairs.
My first experience as an au pair, they were a French family who had lived in London for a long while and then recently moved back to France. Had been in France for like a year and their kids were slowly forgetting their English. So when I came along, since I didn't speak any French, it was a means for them to have to speak English to someone, because while they could speak English to their parents, they knew they could also get away with French. Yeah. So obviously kids are smart, humans are smart, and you're going to speak in the language that you can best communicate in. I slowly learned French, but it was so slowly that English was always the preferred language because it was just easiest.
With my second host family, the parents both spoke German, the dad would speak French to my host kid, and I would speak English to him. And so he was also then learning English in school. So it was a whole mix of languages, and his English was very good. I mean, I would say it was good when I first arrived anyway, and then it just got better and better and better, and then he'd use like British phrases, and those moments are so nice because you're like, oh, you must have learned that one from me. Sometimes he'd get really frustrated having to speak to me in English if he was trying to communicate something that was more difficult, or if he was like in a bad mood, then it would be much harder. Because I didn't speak German at the beginning, he would have to default to English, so it was a useful thing, me being there. My
second family, no one spoke English at all. It was great because I had to learn French a lot faster that way. But it also at times was frustrating because my host parents felt that just because I was there, their host kids would then, or not their host kids, their real kids,
actual kids
would learn English because I was there, which I put pressure on myself then to teach them English. And when you're starting from ground zero and your kids are 6 and 8 years old and don't know anything, I didn't have much luck teaching them too much English, or as much as I thought I would. Mm-hmm. And eventually I realized that the best way to teach kids who don't speak any English is to focus on one phrase at a time for a long time. So every week I would make them ask me the same question over and over and over again, and it was a question that was relevant to something that they were already asking me in French for like a month. It was just like, can I have a glass of water? Mm-hmm. And that was really hard for them. So, we would work on that, and then I can barely remember what we've moved on from after that because we were on that for so long. And just the fact that they mastered that eventually, I was like, yay, I taught you something. I guess going on to, can you teach your kids English? It depends on where you are meeting them. You can teach kids who are starting from ground zero, but at a very, very, very slow pace. Yeah, so it won't be a matter of being able to teach them fluent English within the 1 year that you're there. My sister was an au pair, and her host kids spoke no English at all, and she was teaching them colours and kind of simple things, and by the end of the few months they had been able to master a few phrases because they'd started learning it in school as well. But if it had just been solely on her, then I think she would have really struggled. And that's the thing, when you are teaching kids a language, if they're not exposed to it in other aspects, and you're the only person as their au pair speaking to them in this language, that's not that much exposure. No. Especially as they don't really want to be talking to the au pair. Nor is it a lot of motivation. Exactly. Yeah. So you have to think about that. If your parents are expecting you to teach them a lot of English, just listen to our experiences and then measure out how big of a challenge you think it's going to be. Because everyone's capable of learning the language, but it's not your fault if they don't learn English at the end of the year. You did the best you could. Yeah. And a lot of people I know worry about going into a situation when they're with a child who doesn't speak any English at all. But from observing a lot of my friends who are au pairs, who I never started on ground zero, but a few of my friends really did, including you. I know one of them said that she learned to communicate in other ways at the beginning. So as she was trying to teach her host kids English, she also then developed this like secret language that was just between them, which just revolved around a few
French words that she knew and like a few English words and all sorts of just like random pointing and that kind of thing. So you may worry at the beginning, and it's probably really nerve-wracking when you're in front of the host parents, but as soon as the host parents go away, you and your host kid will get by.
Especially if your kid doesn't speak any of your language and you don't speak any of the kid's language. Mistakes at that point, it's like the greatest way to learn language, because it does not matter if you're making mistakes. The only thing that is prioritized is communicating with each other. So you learn fast. In the description below, we'll put some more tips that we can think of and links to any blogs or useful information about this topic.
Like and subscribe to our channel. We put out new videos every Monday. And follow us on Twitter at @operaparis. And
go to our website.
operaparis.com.
Bye!